Howdy, soldiers. Oh, what's that? Did I perfectly end up matching my eyeshadow to my hoodie? Oh my god, she's so talented. Let's get ready to do this. It's the time of year where all of the book vloggers go through their top books of the year, but for a variety of reasons, I've decided that it might be a little bit more fun to do a top 5 best and top 5 worst. 2024 was a bit of a hard reading year because I feel like I read a lot of 4-star books. I read a lot of stuff that I liked, but nothing that really spoke to, you know, the dead, rotted soul that's deep inside me. And I tend not to read books that I don't like, mostly because I'm not really like a book drama channel, and if I don't like something, I'll just DNF it, so I feel like I can't rate something or review it if I haven't read at least half of it. That's just me and my own internal settings. Alright, well, language is hard today, but challenging myself to give a top 5 and a least 5? A worst 5? A bottom 5. I'm so sorry, bottoms. I didn't mean to forget about you. But challenging myself to narrow things down to 5 only did make me reevaluate some things. And I mean, even thinking about my top books, these aren't necessarily all 5-star books. They're just books that made an impression on me. Also, not the end of the year yet as I film this, and usually I am a big proponent of keeping December wrap-ups, keeping best books of the year until after the year is ended, because what if I read one of my favorite books in December? It's happened many times before. So I really hope that I'm not making a grievous mistake by making this video early and that I don't accidentally read one of my favorite books of the year in the like 2 weeks left. And if I need to yell about this, a video will come up here. And if there's nothing there, woo! And if there is, I obviously have lived to regret my life choices. So without further ado, grab a drink, grab a snack, and buckle in. Join me as we go over the 5 best books that I read in 2024 and the 5 worst books that I read in 2024. Let's get controversial. Let us start off with one of the best. This is a book where I finished reading it and I was like, oh, I like that a lot. That was really good. And then it's just been living rent-free in my mind, running laps, like getting more exercise than I am on a daily basis. Because as you can maybe see behind me, I am a high fantasy girly. I'm somebody who, if there's gonna be magic in a book, I want there to be magic. I don't want any of this like light magic or like just like gentle psychicness. Like, no, I want dragons and I want like weather witches. I want that shit. But this just goes to show that good writing can make a story stick with you, because one of, if not my favorite book of the year, hot take, is the contemporary magic secret society occultist poly-power throuple novel with curses and messy gays that I just cannot stop thinking about. And it's Evocation by S.T. Gibson. Moment for the cover. Angry robot popped off. The devil knows your name, David Aristarchov, and has come to collect. Amongst the secret societies of occultists in underground Boston, David is a psychic prodigy whose family curse has finally caught up with him. To postpone his imminent death and unravel some secrets about his family, he has to turn to the only person he's ever loved, which is his ex-boyfriend Reese. However, Reese is now married to his wife Moira, and the three of them enter into a complicated relationship of secret society, politics, arcane curses, and a tangled personal history. As a fan of S.T. Gibson's other works, I can confidently say she is at peak performance in this book. Her writing in this, it's so good. Like the way that she integrates magic and the secret society and psychics into this book, into this world, is so gritty and raw and real that you really do feel like it's just a part of normal society. David is a very complicated character that I did grow to love because, especially at the beginning, God, what an asshat. A large part of his arc is letting Reese and Moira in and having both of them show him love in different ways. David is also a recovering alcoholic, so there's a big storyline through here that is about addiction and recovery. Reese also has a special place in my heart. He's the more studious, serious of the two, and very relatable. I would also commit small amounts of crime to be able to go into an arcane library and just like touch stuff. Plus, he has to put up with a lot of David and his daddy issues. I also really enjoyed the personal politics of this polythrouple. The politics, as it were. I'll see myself out. I know this is going to be a 4-part series, and oh baby, am I ever excited for it. Now I hear you all saying, yeah, Rachel, we get it. Oh, you loved something. Wow, it's like you have a whole platform about loving books. Tell us about something that you hate. I feel you. let's talk about something that I hated. The first of the worst for 2024 for me was, unfortunately, Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. I was talking with my girlfriend yesterday about this list, and when I said that this was one of the worst books, she told me, oh, I remember when you finished that, and I thought the review you gave it was like kind of okay, that it wasn't that bad. So, no, for the record, let it show that I disliked this book. These characters were annoying, the plot line was all over the place, the writing was incredibly mid. I'm very disappointed in you. This was a strong concept that did not work. This is a sapphic contemporary romance about Opal, who wins the lottery, and in a fit of poor impulse control and desperation, she purchases this failing flower farm, but then it turns out that the granddaughter of the owner still lives on the flower farm, and that's Piper, and Piper is not happy that this farm got sold out from underneath her, and the two of them are trying to work together to like cohabitate, but also like win a flower competition. The backstory of these characters came in fits and starts, and like it wasn't well integrated into the story. It was just kind of a like, oh, by the way, here's this other thing. Oh, by the way, here's this other thing. Like, it never felt purposeful. And then the whole ending, like the third act breakup was so weak, and I didn't even like our main characters. Both of them are so childish and annoying. Their voices were so silly and quirky for like the sake of being silly and quirky. Like, and also, why do they sound 14, especially when they are having like sex? Like they are banging, and your internal monologue is like, oh my god, she's like across the room and like I just can't handle it. Eep. Oh no, I better hide behind this chair. Like, girl, what the fuck? And I'm so mad about it because Piper has autism and Opal has ADHD, and there was some really good discussions in here on like poor impulse control or not understanding subtleties in conversations. Like there was good representation for that, but then the rest of the book just really fell apart. So if you're thinking of picking this up, I don't know, maybe. I'm not your dad, you can buy this if you want, but like, there are better sapphic stories out there, okay? I promise. Next book is one of my top 5, and it is one that I have recently found out is a hot take. I was double checking the name of something on Goodreads, and this has less than 3 stars. People do not like this book, and I don't know why, because it was one of my favorites of the year, and yet again, a book that I still think about on the daily. 2024 was Year of the Vampire. I read a lot of vampire books this year, and the best vampire book that I think I read this year was Hunter's Gambit by C.L. Perlow. This is a fast-paced, bloody, sexy, escape room vampire fantasy novel that I flew through in like a day and a half. In a medieval-esque fantasy world where vampires like exist, our main character Kazan is a lady blacksmith who specializes in silver weaponry. But one night when the caravan that she's traveling with is attacked by vampires and everyone else is killed, she is taken away to the vampire stronghold castle. She will be treated like a queen for 3 days by this court of vampires, and at the end of those 3 days, they will eat her in this magical ritual. With the ritual already started and a limited amount of time to escape, Kazan recruits the help of 2 other sexy vampires in hopes of actually leaving, but also maybe helping them usurp the current vampire king. Apparently the reason people don't like this book is because of Kazan. She's a liar, she's a backstabber, she has basically no morals or ethics. She's like, why would I let the thoughts and feelings of others get in the way of what I want? That's stupid. But that's exactly why I love her. She is cunning and conniving and selfish, and like, yes, while she does learn, the error of her ways and to have some empathy for others, I love the fact that she's in it for herself. And in this scenario of trying to get a singular person out of a death castle, I think that's kind of par for the course. She's so full of panic and rage that I loved seeing the flip about, 3/4 of the way through when she's like, oh, I may be trapped in here with them, but that means they're also trapped in here with me. This vampire court is so cutthroat, no pun intended, full of backstabbing, like you don't know who to trust, everyone's on other sides, everyone's betraying each other, like it really keeps the reader on your feet, like go, 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 what's gonna happen next? It's also extraordinarily bloody and extremely gory, like Resident Evil levels of gore. And then I know the ending is something people also didn't like, but I found it oddly bittersweet. Like, wait a second, why am I feeling these feelings for these infernal dead people? What the hell? Honk honk, back on the complain train, or I suppose the complain spaceship, because second of the worst books that I've read in 2024 is the interstellar space mystery that was supposed to be a sexy, poly, kinky, fun adventure time that ended up just having one of the most insane tonal inconsistencies to a book that I've ever read, and that is Comet Cruise by Niska Morrow. And I feel so bad because the author herself reached out and sent me this beautiful PR package, and I was so excited to read this. And then, oh yikes, that's cannibalism. It's 2126 and the Earth has gone to shit, so all of the rich people go on these beautiful Comet Cruises in space to escape their problems. Talus gets on board one of these ships in disguise, undercover, as she's looking for a friend who went missing who is supposedly upon one of these ships. But then, of course, once we get there, oh, we're meeting so many new people and uncovering secrets and space crime. To its credit, it did have some great discussions on digital access and climate activism, and also because this is a queer, kinky poly book, space erotica specifically, it had a good thing on consent and negotiation. So I will give it its stars for that. But goddamn, I know I related this to a train earlier, and I think that is actually more accurate than a spaceship because this is off the rails. First of all, this plotline with her friend goes absolutely nowhere. The friend is not involved in the bigger space conspiracy. We spent all this time trying to find her, and then we meet her, and then she's gone in literally a page and a half. Like, what? Why did we even have that in there if you were gonna do anything with it? Our characters were so blasé about so much stuff, and I feel like that could have been used as a way to explore how the ultra rich think of the poorer classes, or how if you can theoretically live forever, how that affects you thinking about your friendships. Like, I feel like, but it was just, no one cared. No one cared about anything, and I didn't care about anybody. And while yes, the sexy times were very sexy, God, this book has a tone problem because we go back and forth between, ooh, a new play pod just opened. Oh my God, it's gonna be so sexy. Let's have an orgy. Two, this guy was just tortured and discovered that he had some information that could ruin the planet, so he ripped out his own eye in hopes of escape, and then he got shot out of an airlock into the abyss of space. And then the last 100 pages are 6 people stuck in a pod in space, just slowly, mentally unraveling, and it turns into this psychological horror novel where there is body mutilation and cannibalism. Yeah, this book was insane. This plot was insane. I felt insane while reading it. This was truly unnerving, and not in a good way. I think she was trying to do 2 stories. Like, the first half and the second half were very different, and I do not think that it worked. But a book that did make me care about a lot of other awful people was a gritty paranormal romance book in the vein of Slavic folklore that I will admit I am incredibly biased towards. Number 3 of my top 5 books of the year goes to Wild Blood by AJ Vrana. I say I am incredibly biased because we are friends in real life, and I really traveled across the country to go to her launch party for this back in the fall, but I truly do think she has a gift for writing. I love her storytelling style, and all her characters are just swimming around in a soup of gray morality. It just, some of them are wearing arm floaties and some of them aren't. She makes her lore intricate, she makes her women strong, and she puts her men in therapy. Wild Blood is a companion / continuation of her Chaos Cycle duology with the Hollow Gods and the Echoed Realm, although you don't have to have read those to read this one. A standalone, sexy paranormal noir where we follow Kai and Mia, Kai being an underground ring fighter who is sometimes a werewolf, and Mia, who is literally the Dreamwalker. She's a creature who can enter dreams. When Kai loses a match to someone oddly similar to him, he finds himself indebted to the underworld and has to go after a very specific prize. Whereas Mia is investigating some supernatural phenomena and comes to the realization that there may be more like her out there. But within this story, Kai's past comes to haunt him, and old wounds are festering again, and he has to decide what he's going to do if he's going to save this life that he scavenged together. I think there's a lot of life lessons to be learned in this. Specifically, if scary, sexy, somewhat feral, sometimes werewolf Kai Donovan can go to therapy, so can you. This book really is Kai's story, and it's him unraveling his own feelings towards things. We literally see him in multiple therapy sessions, and I love those parts of the book so much, because when do we ever see a scary, strong alpha male in romance books do the work? And ultimately, it's a book about Kai and Mia's relationship to one another. They're an established couple by this point. How Kai and Mia's individual work is making them stronger as a couple. And the lore is back, and better than ever, we get more dreamscape sequences, especially within the other world. It's so trippy. It's gritty and raw and bloody and sexy, because these two, they have fun. Now, I love dark themes in books, but I don't like dark romance. I'm kind of famously known for not liking dark romance. A really good balance in here of things that are dark and morally questionable, but it also confronts those things. And so working through it with that character who's also working through it, it was very cathartic in a way. So I may be biased, but I'm also right. The show must go on. So the next on the list of disappointing reads for 2024 is one that I think also is a bit highly controversial. And first, let me say that I'm a basic bitch bisexual. If you give me a moth and moon motif, if you give me lunar magic, if you give me beautiful girls who can do magic and like tall, hot men with nice shoulders, like I'm going to like something, okay? It takes a lot for me to be turned away by any of that. I am also an absolute freak for a fairy novel. That's my fairy shelf over there. So let me tell you, I tried so hard to like this book and the writing just wasn't it. Unfortunately, I'm talking about Lore of the Wilds by Annalise Sprana. Is that right? Yes, I love being right. This was a book talk and bookstagram darling where our main character is a human who is tasked to go into this cursed fae library in order to get records for the Fairy King, but then, we're uncovering secrets and stuff happens. I don't know, the plot line. There was an enchanted library, lunar magic, and two hot fae men, one of whom has antlers, and yet this was bad. I was promised magical library, and we only get like 2% magical library. We are there and gone within the first like 80 pages, maybe? And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I want my money back. This isn't what was advertised on the can. The chapters ended in odd places, so the pacing was all over the place. And there was a lot of anachronistic slang. Romantasy books tend to have a more modern cadence to the tone of voice, even in fantasy, but she would use slang. Like at one point she calls someone a trash goblin, which is funny, but there are no goblins established in this world, so what does that even mean? And flip-flopping personality traits does not a compelling and mysterious character make. In fact, it makes me annoyed because your character development and arcs have no consistency. And I've done this bit in at least 2 or 3 other videos, so bear with me. If I had a nickel for every time a sexy black fae man with nice shoulders and beautiful hair saved our main character from somebody who was hunting her because she did forbidden magic that she was explicitly told not to do, and he killed someone for her in a magical forbidden forest, I'd have 2 nickels. This is pitched as new adult romantasy. I think our main character is 19, but her voice is so young that it feels a little uncomfortable to watch her getting railed in the kitchen at the end of this. This had all the bones of being this rich lunar magic fae world, and it just didn't hit the mark, and I'm so sad about it. Again, this could have used a couple more drafts, or I think she should have aged down the characters. Disappointed! Up next, number 4 of my top 5 goes to a sequel. Originally in my top 10, there was actually 2 or 3 sequels, which is kind of lunacy to me because, like, I am so bad at reading sequels. And the fact that I finally did read sequels and I loved them, but like I said in my last video of 2025 goals, is to read more sequels because this year, the sequels this year blew me away. This book is also blue, so we love an unintentional pun. The best sequel, and one of my favorite books that I read of the entire year of 2024, was Sunbringer by Hannah Canner. This is a sequel to Godkiller, which I think was actually one of my top 10 books of 2023. And like, we love carrying on a legacy. Set in the aftermath of a war between gods and men. And when it looks like gods are rising once again, we follow an assassin, a ex-soldier, and a young noblewoman with her bonded god, as all 3 of them travel to the final stronghold city of gods in order to ask favors and hopefully stop this one war god from reawakening. It has such rich lore and a beautiful heartwarming center of found family. It's super queer, there's great disability rep, and both the internal conflicts and the external political system get ramped up so heavily in this book to a degree that I was not expecting, but really, really loved. We dive into the consequences of making a pantheonic people into a monotheistic religion and how the ways that people worship gods changes and adapts based on where they are or who's in power. The coolest bit of lore in here is that gods cannot bleed, but they can be hurt. So if they are hurt, they bleed the blood that is sacrificed to them. In Sunbringer, Kissin is like fucking around on a mountain for most of this, honestly. Elagabalus is becoming this reluctant hero to a people that once shunned him. Inara and Skedi are experiencing growing pains, both together and separately, as Skedi starts to realize more of what he can do as a god, and Inara's kind of on that cusp of childhood, adulthood. Ultimately, this is about faith and love and power, and in a world where anything can be godly, who's gonna be there to stop him? This series is so, so good, and I cannot wait for Faithbreaker to come out. I need it in my hands right now. So, like, Harper Voyager, hit me up. Do you want a kidney? I only need one of them. Returning to the list of books that I despised, the next book I need to rant about is a sexy Greek god retelling that I thought was going to be amazing and ended up having all the sex appeal of a rotting banana, and unfortunately that is Dark Restraint by Katie Robert, which is the, I don't know, 8th, 10th, 27th in her Dark Olympus series. Now, on the whole, I like the Dark Olympus series, but it has some high highs and some low lows, and this is by far the lowest of the lows. This book of the series follows Ariadne and the Minotaur as they're entering into a sham marriage, but then also like a poorly planned Mission Impossible. They have a weird history. They're trying to bring it back around in time for political upheaval to destroy Olympus. Now, the Minotaur is brothers with Theseus, who was Hephaestus and then not Hephaestus. But Theseus's book I liked because even though both of them are like stone cold killers, literal assassins, at least Theseus has something going on behind the eyes. He at least likes stuff and like has empathy every now and again, which is why his redemption arc I was okay with. But the Minotaur, he just sucks. This is the part that I don't like about dark romance, because they're trying to redeem this man who blatantly ignores every single one of Ariadne's boundaries. He doesn't talk about consent. He never thinks about her physical or mental well-being. He's constantly putting her in danger. He doesn't give a shit about anything that she wants, and he kills multiple people to get to her so that she knows that it's her fault that he's killing people because she won't talk to him. Throw this man into the sun. The relationship dynamics are absolutely insane. If this man says, "You're mine," one more time, oh my god. Well, that was a voice crack. I swear to God I will come to Olympus and murder you myself. I am so much more invested in the side characters than I am in our main couple. Like Icarus, he's, there's an arc coming for him, I just know it. And then Hera, oh my god, what is going on inside her head? She is scheming something up. And honestly, is she hiring? I'd love to be a part of taking down this asshole. Because it's Katie Robert, the sexy times were very sexy, but knowing he's a stalker and a killer with no morals or ethics, like, at all, makes it feel a little gross. The reason I still have a physical copy of this is because I want all of it on my shelf. Again, I like the series as a whole. I really enjoy what she's done, making these sexy little smutty Greek stories into this, like, big, intense political schism between the gods and their society. Like, I love that so much. So I'm gonna keep this one, even though I'm kind of mad about it, because I want to know what happens in the rest of the series. And number 5 of my top 5 books of 2024 goes to one that I just finished last month. It is a macabre, creepy YA horror thriller that talks about cursed forests and lots of gay panic, which is my exact vibe. It is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. High school senior of Wickwood Academy, Andrew has a peculiar relationship with his best friend Thomas, where Andrew will write these little macabre fairy tales and Thomas will illustrate them in his beautiful, creepy artwork. But it's the beginning of a new school year and Andrew is holding a secret that he won't tell Thomas about, and one day when Andrew catches him leaving the school and going into the forest, he finds out that the creatures that Thomas has been drawing have been coming to life, but the magic of the nighttime is starting to creep into the day, and the two of them are struggling to keep the monsters at bay while also falling more and more in love with each other. Immaculate atmosphere, beautiful writing that's always just like a step out of touch, like feels like one note off, and it just keeps you on your toes. It makes you feel unsettled the whole way through. This book is beautiful and it is wicked. It is claws and teeth and decay and mushrooms and rot and blood. Andrew is ace, so that obviously affects the way that he views love and loyalty. But at the same time, there was a lovely depiction in here on the different kinds of connections you can have with people and the bonds that you can hold with someone that go beyond what we think of as traditional romantic love. Clearly, some of you have never felt the urge to crawl into a mossy grave with your lover and become one with the forest. And it shows. Andrew slowly unraveling as the forest gains more and more sentience, and like, oh my god, it was wild. Also, I read the Antler King scene, well, a little tipsy, which I do think really added to the experience. And Thomas is the perfect brooding boy who is a knight ready to fall on his own sword and yet also always ready to throw the first punch. He is a drama queen of the macabre, and honestly, goals. So if your local forest also calls to you, I would highly recommend picking this up. And lastly, I didn't really structure this video in any particular order. Like the top 5 were just the top 5. I didn't rank them, and then same thing for my least favorite books. They're not in any particular order. However, the final book of this video is, without a doubt, hands down, no cap, the worst book that I read this year, and perhaps one of, if not the worst, traditionally published book that I've ever read in my 29 years upon this earth. Also makes me angry because looking at it on Goodreads, it has about the same rating as Hunter's Gambit did, which I guess just goes to show that, you know, people like what they like, and if you liked one of the books that I hated in this video, then that's great for you, and I'm happy that that hit its target audience. However, this book was absolutely not for me. Because in my opinion, the worst book I read this year was a blatant cash grab that had no redeeming qualities, and that was Sanctuary of the Shadow by Aurora Asher. Oh wow, I'm looking at the Goodreads on my laptop right now. Even the, like, professional outlets that reviewed it, it says that it has everything nice, a hot love interest, a relatable main character, and female friendship. That's the best you can say about this book. Love that their biggest endorsement of it is it has a love interest. Y'all, I read better stories on Wattpad in 2010. What the fuck was this? Yet again, it was checking a lot of boxes right off the bat. It's a romantasy that's like circus magic based with like tarot magic, and I love the Night Circus. I love Where Dreams Descend. I love circus based magic novels, and this was so bad. Yet again, this is like false advertising. We escaped the circus right away. If you're gonna label this as a circus book and put a circus tent on the front cover, I want what I paid for. Give me the circus magic. Our main character is a magic user who's the last of her kind. She uses this kind of like water tarot magic, and there's a new creature come to this magic circus, and he's so dreamy, but the two of them want to be together, so they run away, and then like they learn more about their pasts and fall in love and bang a whole lot. The writing is incredibly underdeveloped. It's info dump central. There are so many alliterations and em dashes that I feel like I'm reading a creative writing experiment from an 8th grader or like a Sarah J. Maas book. I could break an ankle with the amount of plot holes that there are in this book, and everything is so over-explained. And our main character is so stupid that you have to repeat things 20 times or else she just doesn't understand. And when she understands things, she is dragged to that realization, like kicking and screaming. The reader understands the plot like 20 to 30 pages before she does, no joke. And I had the biggest issue with what this book apparently has going for it, which is a love interest, because Wraith, he is an incorporeal wraith-like creature who is made flesh. When he becomes a solid flesh and blood person, he has no memory and he has the mind of a child. Literally, he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know what food is. And our main character, because she has some kind of telepathy, she can look into his mind, and she does. And she's like, oh, he's like a child. But like, oh my god, he's like so sexy. Look at that 8-pack. Ooh, those shoulders. Girl, do I have to explain to you why that's weird? But apparently, even though he has a toddler's understanding of what the world is, he is like a sex god. So of course the two of them just like bang all over the place, which is just very weird and also happens like right away. And I'm like, oh my god, girl, slow your roll. Let him grow up a little bit first. And I know why this happened, because this is from Red Tower Books, which is the same imprint as Fourth Wing, and they were trying to make a new Fourth Wing. But when you try and force a phenomena, it doesn't ever work. Everybody involved in this project rushed it, and it really shows. I'm so mad at this. I have to let this go. I can't claim this energy in 2025. And that's that on that. Why is someone using a table saw at 2:40 in the afternoon? I hope you can't hear that. But someone is out there cutting tile. And I know intimately what that sounds like because my dad did a lot of home renos when I was younger, and he cut a lot of tile. Why are you cutting tile right now? Can you stop cutting tile so that I can finish filming this video? Thank you. So there you have it. There is the top 5 of the best and worst books that I've managed to read in 2024. It's been a weird reading year, like in a good way, I think. I've definitely expanded my reading, which was great. I had a lot of wonderful bookish experiences this year. I read a lot more nonfiction and romance, which was a goal of mine from the previous year. I feel like I upped my fantasy game and I rearranged these bookshelves not once, but twice. Please leave down below your top 5 favorite books of the year. Everyone is different. Everyone likes different things. Everyone's looking for different things in their books. And I'm so happy to have found the books that I found this year. Because of Christmas activities, I'm currently 1 book behind schedule. So I'm going to take advantage of my small Christmas break and read as much as I possibly can because I want to pack it in there. I wish you all a comfy and cozy holiday season, hopefully with lots of festive drinks and of course, lots and lots of books. You know where to click to like the video. You know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!